It sucks when you don't follow through on your word. I know a couple months back I said I'm going to be posting more frequently, and I didn't. And I had to get honest with myself of why I wasn't showing up. And after reflecting, I realized I wasn't showing up consistently because I wasn't clear on who I was talking to. I had an idea, but I wasn't clear on the specific person I'm talking to. So in this video, I'm going to take you through the steps I took to re-identify my audience and to gain clarity on the type of content I should create. So I think the first thing I need to address is why I was confused. And I think that's the first step you should make as well, is to ask yourself, okay, why am I confused? One of the main reasons why I was confused is I was trying to market to creatives, other creatives, people that's been doing social media, instead of people who don't know how to do social media. And to be quite transparent, the reason why I didn't necessarily want to go to that market is because I felt like for the services that I offer, they couldn't afford it. So I'm like, okay, where do we meet in the middle? Because I know these people are beginners, they're just starting out, they may not be comfortable or able to make that investment. But and doing that thought process, I had to realize that one, okay, these are the people who constantly come to me, and these are the people I'm constantly helping. One, so I need to be helping them regardless if they can pay or not. And then two, people are going to invest in what they deem valuable. So if people really want to get clarity on their content and get excel in their business and utilize social media to their leverage to attract and connect with their target audience, then they're going to invest in that. So I had to first identify that and change my mindset around it. And I don't know. I'm really transparent in it. I feel like I'm not alone in this. I feel like maybe you or you probably know other business owners who also had this dilemma. Another reason why I was confused was because the clients I had, right? I would work with them, and then after working with them, they're like, okay, you're doing great. I love what you're doing, but I realized this is not the service I need. And because of that, and it's nothing on them, it kind of makes me reflect like, okay, was I attracting the right clients? Like, are these the people that I'm supposed to be working with, right? So it caused kind of confusion on my part, like, okay, like, are these the people who I'm supposed to be working with? Like, these are the people who've been coming to me, these are the people who ask me questions. Considering those two factors of why I was confused, the first step I made to gain clarity was to list out the traits of these people I've worked with, the internal and external problems they face when it comes to creating content online. I listed it all out to see what was the common denominator in all of this data. So another reason why I wasn't clear and what I had to get clarity on is I was overthinking my content. I was overthinking so much about the type of content I put out. I hate saying this, but I kind of had imposter syndrome. I know what I'm talking about, but I felt like I wasn't qualified to teach. I didn't know how to teach. And I feel like in my approach, I think going with a teaching approach is what kind of got me stumped instead of just sharing my experience. So the first thing I realized is, okay, instead of trying to teach, share my experience, share what I know, share what I've been through, instead of trying to do it from a teaching point of view. So with that, the next step I did to gain clarity was to write down everything that I know, everything that I can speak to from my experience that I can share with my target audience who needs my help. And not only did I write down the things that I know, I also wrote down a list of things that I know somewhat about, but I need to increase my knowledge so I can eventually share what I've learned with my target audience, because I know they would need that as well. I do want to say this. I didn't go into a deep dive of my target audience because I already had a feel of who they were and what they needed. It's just getting clear on the specific person I'm talking to, right? When you're doing social media content creation, all of that, you're talking to a wide range of people, right? And for me, I want to narrow it down to that one person. And that's what I was trying to find clarity about. So, just to go back over the first two steps I did, first step I wrote was the characteristics of the people who I worked with and the internal and external problems, the pain points, the things that they deal with that they're frustrated with when it comes to content creation. I wrote all of that down from the people who come to me and from the people who I work with and see what was the common denominator amidst all of that data. The second thing I did to gain clarity was I wrote down what I'm good at. What can I speak to and how does that relate to the things that they're frustrated with? From my first list that I created. How's my expertise relevant to what they need, what they're frustrated with, what they're seeking answers for? And I also wrote down what I do know a little bit of, but need to learn a little bit more to further educate my audience about their problem. So those are the things that I did to give me clarity, to help me shift in the way that I create and show up creating content. The last thing I did was create a quick strategy. I realized in creating content that I was creating from a place of what you guys should know instead of what you guys want to know. The list that I created of my target audience, of their characteristics and the problems they face when creating content, I utilized that list to see like, okay, based off these things I've listed, based off these things that I've observed while doing content, creating content, and showing up online, what do they want to know? I compared what I know, what I can teach from my experience, and what problems they're facing and dealing with. And I created a list of things that I could talk about that they would want to know about. To add on to that strategy, I also went to ChatGPT. I know some people are kind of like up in the frenzy. They don't really care about going to ChatGPT for content ideas. And I didn't necessarily come to them for content ideas, but what I did do was utilize ChatGPT to further my research. Now, we're in an age where everybody goes to ChatGPT. So what I did was I'm like, wait, hold on. So I'm assuming everybody goes to ChatGPT to ask some type of content question. So what I did is I asked ChatGPT, based off of your data, what do people come to you and ask you about when it comes to creating content on social media? ChatGPT gave me a list of questions to look through, and that's where I kind of pulled content ideas from too as well. I utilized that resource to help me further deepen my research to see if there's anything that I was missing on the data that I collected from what I knew. So that is what I did to gain clarity for my content so it could help me show up better online. So we're going to go over what I did again to get clarity. First thing I did was identify the characteristics and the problems that my clients and people online that talk to me, communicate to me, are facing when it comes to content creation. The second step I did was write down everything that I knew and everything that I could speak to from my experience and how that relates to my target audience's problems that they're facing with social media. Those are the two things I did to gain clarity. Now, to implement that clarity, I created a strategy of basically creating content based off what they want to know instead of what I think they should know. I utilize the list that I created of what I know and what they need to create things, to create ideas of what they want to know. I also use ChatGPT to further that research to identify some things that I might have missed and things that they want to know about when it comes to creating content. So I think this is a good strategy for anyone beginning or anyone that's like me, that's kind of like trying to redefine who they're talking to. You don't have to have it all figured out. You can still post the content as you're figuring it out, but this is a good starting point, good guidance to help you navigate and give you some type of structure and clarity on what type of content to post so you can continue to attract those people and really narrow down on who you're speaking to. So let me know how this works for you. If you tried it out, if you're going to implement it, I would love to know, and love to know how it worked out for you. But that's all I have for you today. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will talk to you guys in the next video.